Stop starting weak. Build strength daily. How many times have you promised yourself, "Tomorrow I'll be stronger. Tomorrow I'll do better," only to fall into the same old cycle of hesitation, overthinking, and regret? Weakness doesn't always show up as failure. Sometimes it's silence when you wanted to speak, avoidance when you needed to act, or giving in when you should have stood tall. Today, we break that cycle. In this full motivational speech, we're going to explore how to stop starting weak, how to build strength daily, and how to rise with discipline, peace, and self-worth. Have you ever noticed how often the day begins with a sigh, a sense of heaviness before anything has even gone wrong? The alarm rings, and instead of rising with energy, you pull the blanket over your head, already convinced that today will be just like yesterday. That is what it means to start weak. It is not about physical tiredness. It is about the mindset that whispers defeat before you have even taken a step. Weak starts appear in subtle ways. Scrolling your phone for half an hour instead of facing the morning. Telling yourself you will get to it later when you already know later never arrives. Or doubting yourself before you give your effort a chance. These small choices carry weight, because every action at the start of your day sets the rhythm for what follows. If the first step is weak, the rest of the steps drag along with it. But imagine the shift if you took one strong action the moment you woke up. It could be something as simple as making your bed neatly, stepping outside to breathe in fresh air, whispering a prayer of gratitude, or drinking a full glass of water before touching your phone. That first strong act signals to your brain that you are in control. It tells you that even if challenges appear, you have already chosen strength once today, and you can choose it again. Strength is not built in leaps. It is built in small, deliberate choices repeated every single morning. The first step matters because when you start strong, you build momentum, and momentum has the power to carry you through the day. Rejection, whether in love, at work, or in the quiet spaces of friendship, is another place where weakness tries to root itself. Think of the times when you poured your heart into someone or something and were met with silence, indifference, or a closed door. That sting lingers, and the next time you hesitate, convinced you will face the same outcome. Weakness convinces you to stay silent when you long to speak, to avoid opportunities because you do not want to risk hearing no again. But rejection is not the confirmation of unworthiness. It is evidence that you dared. It is proof that you stepped into the arena, while many others stayed on the sidelines. Every attempt you make is already an act of strength, because it means you valued your dream, your voice, or your presence enough to put it forward. The language you use around rejection shapes your resilience. Saying "I failed" weakens you, but saying "I attempted" strengthens you. Attempts create experience, and experience builds wisdom. When you shift perspective, rejection becomes a teacher, showing you what to refine, where to redirect, and how to grow. A closed door is not the end. It is redirection toward a space more aligned with who you are becoming. Every time you face rejection and still choose to rise, you are practicing strength in its purest form. There are days when the weight of stress feels heavier than your own body, when even before you begin your work the fatigue has already drained you. Walking into an office where your efforts seem invisible, where appreciation never arrives, and where the workload never slows down can make you feel powerless. Burnout creeps in silently, not always through massive breakdowns, but in the way you lose excitement for things you once enjoyed, or in the way you dread tasks that used to challenge you. Stress convinces you that you are weak, but the truth is that burnout is not proof of weakness. It is proof that you have been giving without replenishing. No one can pour endlessly from an empty vessel. Rest and boundaries are not luxuries. They are necessary for strength to return. Choosing to pause, to breathe, or to set limits with people who consume your energy does not mean you lack discipline. It means you are protecting the very source of your power. When you learn to rest, you give your mind and body space to recharge, and a recharged self is far stronger than a constantly drained one. Stress Stress will always exist, but the way you manage it decides whether you collapse under it or rise above it. Overthinking has a way of defeating people before they ever take the first step. Traps you in endless loops of what if until the opportunity slips away. Have you ever spent more time imagining everything that could go wrong than it would take to actually try? That is the silent weakness of the mind, creating battles that never happen in reality. Overthinking magnifies fear and paralyzes action, and yet most of what you imagine never truly occurs. Shifting from weak beginnings means interrupting this cycle. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" start asking, "What if I win?" Each action you take, no matter how imperfect, brings more clarity than hours of mental rehearsals. Even mistakes carry lessons, and lessons turn into strength. By choosing to act, you shift from being a prisoner of your thoughts to being a builder of your reality, and every single action adds to the strength of your future self. There are moments in relationships when you catch yourself giving more than you receive, waiting for validation, or shrinking your worth just to keep someone close. That is where weakness hides in plain sight, in the quiet compromises where you lower your standards to avoid loneliness or rejection. It feels easier to accept less than you deserve than to risk walking away, but every time you do, you start the day with weakness instead of strength. True love and respect are not begged for. They are freely given. When you measure your value through someone else's approval, you hand them the power to decide how strong or weak you feel. Real strength begins the moment you reclaim that power. When you remind yourself that you are not defined by another's attention. Walking away from someone who makes you feel small is not a loss. It is an act of courage. It is discipline disguised as self-worth. Saying, "I deserve better" requires more strength than holding on to something that diminishes you. Relationships should build you, not break you, and strength comes from protecting your dignity even when it feels painful to let go. Motivation is often praised, yet it is fleeting. It rises with an inspiring video or a surge of energy, but it fades as quickly as it came. That is why so many journals are left unfinished, why gym memberships collect dust, and why dreams stay on paper instead of becoming reality. Discipline, however, is different. It does not depend on how you feel in the moment. It depends on the commitment you made to yourself long before the moment arrived. Discipline bridges the gap between intention and transformation. It is built by small, consistent habits, stretching after brushing your teeth, journaling before bed, drinking water before your morning coffee. These anchors tie your actions to daily triggers, making strength automatic rather than optional. Passion can ignite change, but discipline sustains it, and strength grows not from the days you felt motivated, but from the days you showed up when motivation was absent. Silence can feel unbearable when you are used to filling every gap with noise, distraction, or company. Many people fear being alone because it forces them to face thoughts they have been avoiding. Loneliness convinces you that you are missing something, that you are incomplete without another person's presence. But what if solitude is not emptiness, but a mirror showing you who you are without masks? In the quiet, you hear the truth of your own desires, your unspoken pain, and your hidden strengths. Choosing to sit with yourself instead of running from the silence is an act of bravery. It is in those moments of solitude that healing begins, because you are no longer relying on the world to define you. Inner peace does not come from constant company. It comes from accepting your own presence. The ability to be alone without feeling lonely is a sign of strength that many never master. It means you can stand on your own foundation, and when you do connect with others, it is out of fullness rather than need. Every single day begins with a decision, whether you realize it or not. You are given the choice to start weak, repeating old habits of doubt, procrastination, or avoidance, or to start strong, even if it is with just one conscious act. Strength is not an end goal. It is a practice repeated daily. The truth is that no one becomes strong overnight. Strength is stacked brick by brick through consistent choices. Asking yourself each morning, what is one strong decision I can make today? Rewires your focus. It may be a workout, a difficult conversation, or simply refusing to give in to fear. Each strong choice carries weight, and over time those small decisions create a life rooted in resilience. Weakness is passive, but strength is intentional. And when you make strength your daily practice, it becomes your identity. So remember this: stop starting weak. Build strength daily. Weakness whispers, but strength is a voice you choose to raise every single day. You are stronger than this moment, stronger than your past, and stronger than the fear that tries to hold you back. If this message spoke to you, share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know the battles you're fighting, and suggest the next topic you want me to cover. Don't forget to subscribe, because together we are building strength every single day.